We're good? Thank you. Okay, welcome to our council meetings for Wednesday, June 25th. We will get started tonight with our CDRA meeting. So I will call that meeting to order and look for a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Motion by Sherry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Teddy. We'll do a roll call. Sherry?
Yes.
Teddy?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Thank you, and I'll vote yes. That motion carries. Item 3.1, public hearing and consideration of a resolution amending the fiscal year 2025 budget. Kyle?
Thank you. Tonight, I've just got a few budget amendments to go over for the CDRA. So we're going to go by the different project areas. And the overall, with the exception of one item, these are all truing up the budget to match the actual tax increment we received. And then also the associated participation agreements, which they're all based off of tax increment received. So there's some shifting that needs to occur with the budget so they match. So first one in the town center, so those of you that don't know, you guys of course know, that's the area we are currently in, that's the town center CDA. Our tax increment came in a little bit under what we had projected, so we received about 3.7 million in tax increment. Correspondingly, we have a participation agreement with HTC Communities. Because we received less tax increment, we have to pay less out to them. And then also we did, the board entered into a new participation agreement during the year with Elevated Acquisitions. So that is putting that agreement into the budget. The one item I had mentioned that isn't tied to property tax is there were some expenditures incurred with the parcel on 134th South in Mountain View that's being developed. Some power lines had to be removed, and the city's message board site had to be removed for $57,300. So that is putting that expense into the budget for that project area. Business center is a little easier, so that is where the Real Stadium is located. Once again, tax increment was a little less than we were anticipating by about $55,000. We did receive, however, about $1.6 million in tax increment revenue. And our tax participation agreement with Swords and Legacy and Swords and Impact Foundations did reduce accordingly because we did receive less tax increment. In the Anthem CRA, that is the area where Winco's located. They actually had an increase in tax increment more than our projection showed by about $50,000. We did also have to increase our tax incentive payment to Arbor Commercial correspondingly. And then also we do have agreements with Salt Lake County and the school district. How those work is they give us 100% of tax increment, but then we have to rebate back a portion of that. So because we did receive more tax increment, we did have to make a little bit more payment to them. Then finally, the Innovation CRA, that's where the Bullfrog Manufacturing is located. We did actually receive more tax increment than we were anticipating of about $63,000. And then they also have a mitigation agreement with Jordan School District and Salt Lake County, so we did have to increase the amount we paid them for that mitigation payment. With that, are there any questions on the proposed budget amendments? Okay.
Any questions? See none, I'll look for a motion.
Don't you have to open it?
Oh, thank you. We'll go to the public hearing on this. So at this point, we will open the public hearing. Matt does not want to speak yet. So I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Look for a motion then.
Motion to, let's see, motion to approve resolution R2025-03 approving an amendment to the fiscal year 2025 Community Development and Renewal Agency of Herriman City budget.
Motion by Sherry,
I'll second.
Second by Tara. We'll do a roll call. Tara?
Yes.
Teddy?
Yes.
And Sherry?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that motion carries. Look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, we will now call to order our Herriman City Safety Enforcement Area meeting. We'll start with item 2.1. Look for a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is written.
Motion by Sherry,
Second.
second by Tara. We'll do a roll call. Sherry?
Yes.
Tara?
Yes.
Teddy?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, that motion carries. Item 3, public hearing on consideration of a resolution amending the Herriman City Safety Enforcement Area budget for fiscal year 2026. Kyle?
Thank you. This one is actually fairly easy. So as you probably remember, the Herriman City Council did authorize 2 additional police officer positions a number of months ago. One thing with our budget is we do 2 years of budget at once, so we've already amended the 25 budget to reflect those additional officers. Now, the same thing needs to be done in 26, because when we adopted the budget last year at about this time, we, of course, didn't have those officers hired and didn't necessarily know they were going to be hired. So all this is doing is pulling money from fund balance or anticipated fund balance to transfer it to pay for those 2 additional officers.
Okay, sounds good. We'll open the public
Question.
hearing. Yes, question, go ahead, Teddy.
Kyle, is this from those restricted funds from the tax increase a few years ago? So that'll open up that allocation for those FTEs?
Yes, that's correct. It was from that restricted allocation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Teddy. Okay, at this point, we will open the public hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion by Sherry,
I'll second.
second by Tara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve Resolution R25-02, approving an amendment to the fiscal year 2026 Herriman City Safety Enforcement Area budget.
Motion by Sherry,
Second.
second by Teddy. Teddy,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. That motion carries. Look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. We are adjourned. We will pause and we'll shut everything off for 10 minutes. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Same link?
10 minutes. 8 for you, Teddy. Good evening. Welcome to our city council meetings this evening for Wednesday, June 25th. Tara, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I am. I
Okay.
can. Thank you.
Okay, as a note, just we'll excuse Councilmember Henderson, who's out today. Councilmember Hodges was on. He may hop back on. He's in Texas flying back. And then we do have Councilmember Anderson on with us online, so we do have a quorum. So we will get started tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance by the one and only Dee Okeson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dee. Good to have you here. We'll go to item 4.2, City Council comments and recognitions. Anything from the council tonight?
Just a big shout out to everyone who participated in Town Days. It was a great event, and really thanks for adjusting to the firework fiasco. Mother Nature didn't want us to do fireworks apparently, and she sent enough wind that it didn't happen, but I don't think it dampened the activities. We had it seemed like a great turnout. Plenty of teenagers, that's for sure. The youth are alive and well out there. So thank you for the many, many hours of staff time and our officer time. I think I loved seeing them walk around and just interacting with people. They keep it calm, and I was just super impressed. So thanks for all the hard work.
Absolutely echo those comments to everybody that was involved, those that put on events, Friends of Herriman, the other groups that had anything to do with it, but our staff just, Lauren, you're here. I would like to embarrass you, but I'm blown away every time I watch you work. You and Mindy and your team, just unbelievable. So truly, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Okay, anything else from council? Okay, we will go on to, or do we want to do, is this when we want to do via Jeans right now? This is probably when we want to do it, right? Oh, it's down, there it is. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go to public comment. At this point, audience members may bring any item within the city's purview to the city council's attention. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes. State law prohibits the council from acting on items that do not appear on the agenda. Public comments for this meeting will also be conducted electronically. Any person interested in addressing the council may submit a comment by emailing recorder@herriman.gov or by visiting herriman.gov/agendas and minutes, where there is a link to fill out an online public comment form. Your statement will be incorporated into the public record. So at this point, if there's any public comment, Chris, I know you wanted to make one. Go ahead. Yeah, you're good.
You have to give the,
We trust him. He's an elected.
oh, I don't know.
This is Chris, the county.
Sure.
All right. My time already gone. My name is Chris Harding. I'm the Salt Lake County Auditor. Just making a visit to you today. We're trying to make our rounds to all the cities and townships. Property tax season is fast approaching, and you're going to get our notice evaluation here in the next few weeks. What I just passed out on the card on the blue side is a QR code that you can sign up for our electronic notifications. Pretty much it's that you'll get an electronic version of your notice evaluation. This is the paper that we send out listing all the taxing entities, school districts, cities, the county, everybody who's got a piece of your property taxes. We're trying to push the electronic version because there's only so much we can put on a piece of paper front and back. The electronic version, we're trying to get the entities to give us a website so that, like, for instance, if the school district in your city is going to raise taxes, they can provide a link that your constituents, your residents can click on, and the school district would get first crack at telling everybody, we're raising property taxes, maybe we need some more school buses, we're going to give the teachers a raise, maybe we're going to hire some counselors. And that way, when you go to the Truth and Taxation meeting, you're kind of armed with a little bit of knowledge, or at least educated, I shouldn't say armed, ready to make your voice heard and either advocate for that position or raise some questions. And then we're also implementing what we call the pizza tracker. The county's not perfect, as you well know, and sometimes your property taxes, your assessments are valued a little too high and you appeal that. Right now it just goes into the county ether, the bureaucracy, and you have to wait. We're trying to implement a real-time system so that when you submit that appeal, you'll be able to track it through the process. If it's taken a little too long, we'll have a point of contact for you to reach out. And then just lastly, real quick on the white side, if you see some fraud, waste, and abuse going on in the county, scan that QR code and submit a referral and we'll investigate it. So thank you so much for the time. Wow, 2 minutes is quick, so thank you. I appreciate you.
Chris, thank you for being here, and thank you for your service as well. If you could state your name for the record, please, sir.
My name is Matt Basham. I would just like to echo the sentiment from the council about the town days and the events of last week. Just wow. I had an opportunity to participate in those events myself. The process in which was set out to be able to participate in those events was easy. It was clear. All the instructions were there, which made the event just run, very, very smoothly. So, again, kudos to Lauren and her staff. I swear, she was in 5 places at one time. She was everywhere. So, it was great to see, the police department out and Unified Fire with all their toys. Those are just, fun to look at. And, the little boy comes out in May. So just thank you. I look forward already, to next year. And anytime that we, as a community, can get together with everybody, it's a great time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, seeing no other public comment, we will move on to item 6. We'll do our council reports. Teddy's not on yet, right? Teddy didn't get on. Teddy? He is on.
I'm here.
Do you have any reports, my friend?
I meeting with the sewer board yesterday morning, or Jordan Basin Improvement District. Nothing significant to report.
Thank you. Sherry?
No, I should have attended the chamber board this morning, but I was busy participating in jury selection duty, so I was not able to attend that. But I was at our Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District board meeting, but I'm going to hold my comments until item 11.4 because we'll address some of that then.
Perfect. Thank you. Tara, do you have anything to report tonight?
I don't, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. The only thing I will report on is at COM last week, we had probably one of the more interesting COMs we've ever had. We invited Chief Deputy DeMont that runs the county jail, as well as Sim Gill, our district attorney, to kind of talk about jail space and the processes and how our agencies interact with them. Just educational piece. We didn't even get all the way through that. I don't think there's going to be I think there's going to be a continuation of that. Just understanding their capacity. Oxbow is now fully operational. They're all 3 pods are now open at Oxbow, and they are 90%. They're already almost full at Oxbow, right? There is some limited capacity left at the Oxbow facility. From there, they had that. If you were following the news, they did have the fire, the small fire there. That's contained. It was just smoke. They didn't even have to move people off site for that, so they're already back fully functional. But a lot to take back to our, we haven't grown the jail. Honestly, I don't know that the bond still was the right way to go about it, but we haven't grown jail capacity as much as the population has grown in the county, and I think that is going to be something we're going to have to tackle long term. But real interesting. I'll try to, I think they're actually going to talk to Cam with the league after. I think they're actually going to have this now be a session at the fall conference. He was there, and that was we were all that intrigued and interested in this, and we didn't get through nearly what we wanted to. So more to come on that, but a space that's going to evolve right now with, as they interact with RPD and all this stuff. So yeah. So that concludes my report. So we will go on to 8.1. We are here to celebrate tonight our parade grand marshal. We have Via Jean with us tonight, so we're going to recognize her. Who wants to? Are you going to? Oh, Lauren's going to do it. Okay, great. Welcome, Lauren. This is the wonderful Lauren we've been bragging about, and we'll welcome Via Jean up.
Stand up here next to me. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to recognize someone very special who was recently nominated by the Herriman community to serve as the Grand Marshal in our 2025 Fort Herriman Town Days Parade. Via Jean Brown Hamilton was born in Lehigh in 1928. She spent most of her life in the Riverton Herriman area, where she and her husband Darrow raised 6 children on their family farm. With a deep love of her community, Via Jean has been a dedicated service member throughout her life. She served as a member of the Riverton City Council, on the American Legion, and in her church. She also is known for many of her talents in music, theater, and sports, as well as her cheerful, energetic personality. She's now 97 years old, and she continues to inspire those around her. Her life has been filled with service, kindness, and love for her family and community. We're proud to recognize her as this year's Fort Herriman Town Days Grand Marshal and to celebrate the example she sets for all of us in our community. So if you could join me in recognizing Via Jean.
Yes, we would love to. Can we get a picture with you?
Can they grab a picture with you?
Please do. Oh.
All right, one, two, three. Okay.
You're very welcome.
County Council.
Wow. I'll bet they didn't.
Nice.
Love it. I love it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
How cool is that? That's why we do what we do right there.
That's right.
That's
She's
what
awesome.
I love it. That's That's what it's all about. Okay, we'll go on to item 8.2, our fiscal year 2025 Office of the State Auditor's Fraud Risk Assessment. Kyle, can't talk tonight.
It looks so like that, huh?
Thank you, Mayor. And just while the county auditor's here, I did want to give a shout out to his staff because they have been fantastic working through the truth in taxation and the property tax process. So thank you for that. So moving on to the fraud risk assessment, this is something that the state auditor requires every city and entity to fill out every year. What is supposed to help you as elected officials is just to give you a kind of a guide of the internal controls and some possible risk areas that might exist. This assessment is designed for very small entities that don't have staff up to large entities such as the state and the county, Salt Lake City. So it definitely is not, they're trying to do a one-size-fits-all, so don't take this if you have a high score, it automatically means that there's no risk within the organization. I did include this in the packet, so I won't necessarily go through every single line, but they do rely heavily on having policies in place. Our score did drop from last year. We did have she had a CGFM certification. She's no longer employed with the city. My certification lapsed a number of years ago, and unfortunately that means I have to retake the test. But other than that, we have a very strong score of 355, which is low. I did mention in the staff report, there's two areas for improvement. One is if we have an internal audit function. So we will probably never be able to get those points because we would actually have to have an internal audit department. And even when the city's at build out, I don't think that's feasible from a cost standpoint for the city. However, at our next audit committee meeting, I would like to discuss what some other cities have done with the audit committee, and that is they will usually hire another external auditor, not the one that does our regular audit, but another firm, and there'll be areas that they will target for testing, and that would be something I'll discuss with the audit committee. Thankfully, two of our audit committee members work for other cities, so they do have a lot of ideas on this topic. And then the other one is putting a policy in place that we have to commit in writing as city employees to a statement of ethical behavior. This keeps getting put on the policy agenda, and then just due to bandwidth, it hasn't occurred yet, but I have talked with HR and we will try to get it done the next year. It's very simple. It's just been a bandwidth issue. There's no action on this. It's just a presentation tonight.
Looks good. Appreciate all you do, Kyle.
Yep, thank you.
Great job.
You've got a good team too now. It'll be good once this team gets up to speed and everything. It'll be good. Okay, any other comments from council? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to item 9.1. We have a public hearing and consideration of a resolution amending the budgets of the city of Herriman for fiscal year 2025. Kyle, we'll welcome you back up.
It's that time of the year where you see a lot of finance. So tonight we have a few budget amendments for fiscal year 2025. I'm going to give you a snapshot and the full detail is in the packet. Just starting with the general fund, one of the themes or one of the highlights is talking with our financial advisor. He didn't believe it was a good environment to issue a capital lease. As you may remember, last year we were going to finance the purchase of a hook lift with a capital lease. I prefer to wait till the vehicles are done. We have all the invoices. We know the exact amount to issue the lease for. Unfortunately, during that time, interest rates shot up and they've just stayed pretty stagnant. So he recommended seeing if there's other alternative sources to finance that versus issuing a capital lease just with where interest rates are right now. Thankfully, our Class C road funds have been higher than we were anticipating. So the proposal here is to use that increase of funding to cover what the capital lease would have paid for. It's good for the city because we don't have to issue the debt. There's less paperwork and that type of thing. So that's the major one. And then the events department, and I believe Lauren's not here anymore. She should get kudos because she really did go out and try to find sponsors for not just town days, but the rodeo and then also other miscellaneous events. Due to that, they have an additional $66,000 warrant that wasn't in the original budget. So the proposal is that would increase her budgets for those events, and that was what the assumption would be moving forward. The last two need a little explanation. So first one is a transfer to capital projects. So as you know, you as a council did adopt a fund balance policy. I've mentioned a few times we are in excess of that fund balance policy right now by about $2.4 million. My proposal would be to actually transfer that over to capital projects now, so it's not just sitting in the general fund. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend it on capital projects when we do go to appropriate those funds. If, for example, you wanted to put some funds away for future vehicle replacements, we could easily move that over to the capital equipment fund. But this way it's restricted and it's not, I hate using the term general fund abyss, but just making sure that it's intended, and the council has given direction, they intend these surplus funds to be used for capital projects. The next one, this is the one that needs a little explanation. So we are at 34% of our revenues as a percentage of fund balance. State law allows us to go to 35. After that, we would get an audit finding. So I am anticipating our revenues are looking good right now, even with the sales tax roller coaster we've been going through lately. I anticipate that our revenues will exceed what we've spent for the year. And this proposal would be, once we know what that final number is, we would transfer any amount above our fund balance policy amount to capital projects to be used for future capital projects. So the entire $3.5 million won't be transferred. It'll be whatever that amount ends up being at the end of the year. In public safety fund, once again, this is an accounting type of thing. So the police department entered a couple capital lease, or SPITA is an accounting term, stands for software-based information technology arrangement. Basically, that means they entered into a long-term contract for software. It's similar to their TASER contract. They got that AI writing software to help with their police reports. That's one of them. One thing we have to do for accounting standards is we actually have to recognize it as debt. So we recognize a revenue and then we recognize an expense. So it's just an in and out. It makes no sense, and trying to explain it to people is not the most exciting thing, but that's what that is. On impact fee side, there's just a couple of minor adjustments. So one, in the transportation fund, I would like to reduce the revenue to match our anticipated actuals by $500,000. So when we prepared the budget last year, we didn't necessarily know the effect of Olympia would have on our transportation impact fees. However, I will make of note, when we did do that 10-year forecast for you a few months ago, those actually had reduced revenues in it, so it wasn't what we had put in the budget. So those numbers are as accurate as you can be on what we were expecting moving forward. So it did include this decrease. And then another one is we do have a reimbursement agreement for improvements made on 118th South. That's based off of actual collections. A couple of the commercial buildings in Teton have gone up, so that caused more collections to be received, and therefore we have to pay more out on the reimbursement agreement. And then in the public safety and fire impact fees, we are undergoing a impact fee study right now. It's actually almost done. I'm the bottleneck on that one, but this is to budget in the expenditure for that study. In the grants fund, good news is we did receive a mental health grant for public safety from the state of Utah, so this is to recognize that revenue and then the expense that will be used for mental health for our public safety. In capital projects, there's just a few adjustments. So one is with our auto mall sale agreement, it was time for them to purchase another few acres of property. So we did receive almost $1 million in proceeds. That goes directly against the interfund loan with the Water Rights Fund. We did also receive a grant from Salt Lake County for $2.9 million for the Midas Creek Bridge. And then the general fund transfer, so that is for that $2.4 million we talked about that's over fund balance, and then that placeholder And then one thing I didn't talk about in the general fund is we did look at what the ICE ribbon brought in revenue versus expense, and it was short about $30,000 from the surplus is not the right word. The capital reserve we were planning on setting aside. So this is just adjusting it down to meet our actuals. And one thing with our interfund loan is we do have to pay interest on that every year. So this is recognizing interest expense on that. So that gets paid to the Water Rights Fund. And then finally, in the Capital Equipment Fund, we did purchase a new tractor. However, we traded in the prior tractor. So this is to recognize that trade-in on that. And then might be finally, I can't remember. There's been a lot of staff reports going around this week. So capital projects, as you know, last week our bond closed. So hooray on that. It actually turned out to be very good. We got a very good interest rate. But this is to actually budget for the projects that were put into the bond. And it was the last slide. So are there any questions before the public meeting, or the public hearing, excuse me?
I don't.
Okay, seeing none, we will open the public hearing on this item. Thanks, Chris.
Make a motion to close the public
Okay,
hearing.
motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Look for a motion on this item.
Make a motion to approve resolution number R34-2025, amending the fiscal year 2025 Herriman City budget.
Motion by Sherry,
A second.
second by Tara. We'll go Tara,
Yes.
Eddie,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. That motion carries. 9.2, public hearing and consideration of a resolution amending the budgets of the city of Herriman for the fiscal year 2026.
You're just hanging out there.
Yes, you get a little chair. So this is actually for the upcoming budget for public consumption. We passed 2 years worth of budgets at a time. So the 26 budget was actually passed last year. But there's a few changes that have occurred that we felt warranted amending the budget now, even though it's a little early. So the first one is we are going to receive additional transportation funding from the county. We're calling it, the acronym cities are using is the fifth of the fifth. We're anticipating getting approximately $600,000 from that. What staff's proposal is to shift what the general fund was paying for transportation-related expenditures to other priorities. And there I've listed, so what the general fund is contributing towards transportation. This is outside of our Class C roads, and then we have that other quarter-cent sales tax that we also receive. So the general fund before this shift is contributing $2.2 million. So the proposal is to reduce that by $600,000, use those funds for other items. One is that you probably remember from it's only a couple months ago, is our election cost is anticipated to go up substantially. Jackie, our city recorder, and I tried to determine what number to put in because, as you may remember, it's a high, mid, and low scenario, so we kind of went with the mid. So unfortunately, I may be coming back asking for another amendment, but we're going to see how this goes first. The major one is some position changes. So one is adding a position in finance. So we did have a position eliminated in the fiscal year 24 budget, so this would bring this back. And then the other one is to unfreeze a position in the recorder's office. So we did have a position in the position schedule, however, it wasn't funded, so it would be actually funding that position and actually changing it, moving it from a records clerk to a deputy city recorder. Jackie, as you know, our city recorder has had some additional responsibilities given to her due to state mandates, especially relating to privacy. So this will help her team manage the workload. The final one is some targeted market adjustments. So when HR does a yearly analysis, they found a number of positions were out of market. The main group of those are our outdoor labor, so our parks department, our streets, some of those entry-level positions we were finding, we were just not paying as much as other cities. So the majority of the adjustments are for that. Next public hearing, you will see some for some of the managers. And then in the public safety fund, so this is, as you know, as the HCC board, you approved the transfer on the HCC side. This is to budget in the 2 police officers on the general fund. Police department side, as I had mentioned, their AI report software was purchased last year. That is being paid for with liquor allotment money, and that is money we receive from the state for various purposes. It's not us. That's not our fund to buy liquors. A lot of people think it is. In capital projects, we did have one item requested, and this is for Gina Road to start putting in some budget for that. So one, as we had mentioned in the work session last week, we meaning the Capital Projects Fund, did pay for some projects that benefited the water fund, so we were requesting reimbursement back now. The water fund would have had to pay this back at some point, but looking at where the water fund is right now, we believe they have sufficient cash flow to reimburse capital projects for that. And then just as of note, because I know this was a topic a couple weeks ago, we do keep track of the fee in lieu that is being collected. So this is to also put the $76,000 we've received in fee in lieu towards the project. So this $1.9 million isn't the total amount to do the project. However, it is a good portion of it. And then finally, in capital projects, the police department is requesting not additional vehicles, but vehicle replacements, and then 1 new vehicle for their new hire last year. So that totals $618,000. The vehicle replacement forms are in the packet if you wanted to look through those if you haven't already. In water fund, so this is the other side of what we saw in capital projects. So this is transferring out the funds from water and into capital projects. And then a new fund, because just what everybody wants is another fund to manage. We are self-funding dental next year, so this is a fund that will capture those premiums, both the city side and the employee side, and that will also track the premiums we're paying out, the claims we're paying out to our dental administrators. So this way it keeps the fund separate and there's not commingling of those funds. And with that, are there any questions before the public hearing?
Not for me, so at this point, we will open the public hearing. Seeing no comments, I'll look for motion to close. Yep.
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion by Sherry,
Second.
second by Teddy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Look for a motion on the item.
Motion to approve Resolution R 35-2025, approving an amendment to 2025-2026 fiscal year budget.
Motion by Sherry,
Second.
second by Tara. We'll go Tara,
Yes.
Teddy,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. That motion carries. 9.3, public hearing and consideration of a resolution for proposed compensation increases for specific city officers. Kyle.
Thank you, Mayor. Last public hearing. This one is required by state law. In 2024, Senate Bill 91 was passed that requires a public hearing for what they call specified officers on any proposed increases that the city's planning on giving to these individuals. The language was very vague. We decided to interpret it as anyone at a manager level or above is included on this list. So the base adjustment, and this was actually included in the 26 budget when it was passed last year, is a 2.9% cost of living adjustment and then a 0.5% merit adjustment. And then there are a number of positions that the city manager and HR director identified as being out of market and needing adjustments to get them back into market. And that's all I have on this one. Of course, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer it.
Looks good. Okay. At this point, we will open the public hearing on this item. I'll look for a motion to close.
The public hearing.
Motion by Sherry. This is fun.
Second.
Second by Teddy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Look for a motion on the item.
Motion to approve resolution number R36-2024 stating proposed compensation increases for specific city officers.
Hold tight. Should that be 2025?
I think it's R36.
36-2025.
2025. Okay, that's okay. Motion to approve resolution number R36-2025 stating proposed compensation increases for specific city officers.
Okay. Motion by Sherry.
Second.
Second by Teddy. Teddy?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That motion carries. Okay, move on to a consent agenda. Look for a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Motion by Sherry.
Second.
Second by Teddy. Teddy?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That motion carries. Okay, we're moving on to item 11.1. That item will be continued tonight, so I'll look for a motion to continue that one.
Motion to continue item 11.1.
Motion by Sherry.
I'll second.
Second by Tara. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. 11.2, discussion and consideration of a public utility easement access and infrastructure agreement with All West Utah. Blake.
Thank you. This one's been a long time coming, so we're finally here. It's been through a handful of negotiations. So I'll give a little background. All West has installed in the city some of their infrastructure under a franchise agreement. They were installing in the city right-of-way with the approval of that franchise agreement. They ran into a lot of conflicts along the way with sidewalk replacements and just running into utilities, running in the park strip area and out in the road. So also at that same time, the High-Speed Internet Task Force was working through the concept of the city's own fiber optic system. And then with some pushback from legislature and from some lobbyist groups, there was a push for us to move away from our own system and look for a third-party provider to partner with. So we issued a intent to negotiate, and All West Communications responded to that in 2024. We've since been working with them to determine the best way to move forward, and with that, we've come up with this agreement. So the details of this agreement, the public utility easement, and let's see, it's got a long name, PUE Access and Infrastructure Agreement between Herriman City and All West. So this agreement basically has a few key parts I want to highlight. One of them is All West will provide the city dark fiber. We'll get 4 strands of dark fiber for every line that they install when we have the right, indefeasible right to use that. Was there a question? No, okay. And then the city will also, because that system will be used by the city to run city systems like water, detention basins. It can't be used for commercial uses, but it can be used for city infrastructure to manage it, and we can use it for our internet, for our building and stuff. We, in turn, will allow All West to run their facilities in the PUE because it acts as a public utility at that time. And then also the city, where we've installed conduits along some of our newer projects, will allow All West to use a portion of those conduits to run their system. And that's actually a benefit because we don't get the road cuts and the impact of the traffic. So it's a benefit to us and to All West. Some other highlights, there's quarterly coordination meetings, and that'll help out with us as we're doing projects and we're putting conduit in. They'll be able to coordinate where their system makes sense to go and where the next steps are for them to expand into the city. The term of this agreement is 30 years. There's 2 5-year automatic renewals, and then assignments only by written consent by by the other party. So just kind of did a quick benefits analysis to show here, and then the image on the right shows all of the facilities that the city would at some point desire to connect to the fiber optic system to help us manage and control that infrastructure. And so kind of some highlights here. This helps us meet our goal in our strategic plan. And we've always wanted to provide more
internet options to the residents, and so this helps with providing another internet option to the residents. More competition is a good thing, and we get exclusive access to this system for our infrastructure, and then All West also gets some benefits out of it. And so, with that, happy to answer any questions. Staff does recommend approval of this agreement. We do have a representative. Kirk from All West is here. If you have any questions in the back, we can have him come up and answer any if you have any. And then Todd spent a lot of time working on this, so if there's any legal questions, he's the person to ask those.
How many years is this now?
4.
Yeah, I was like, we've been working on this for a long, long time. It's really nice to see an agreement finally here to, certainly not what we had envisioned when we first started, but due to circumstances beyond our control at the legislature, plus the interest rates that made things not feasible anymore, it's nice to have that we're at least solving this issue, which is originally what we really wanted to do, was make sure the city was able to be, more efficient in the things that we're doing by this type of broadband. So good job. Thanks for all the hard work that went into this. Lots of hours and lots of years.
It's been a while.
And Blake, and maybe we can call the All West people up, but do we anticipate full build out now with All West now? Because I've had several people even reach out, say my little triangle, they've done all around me, but not my little triangle. So maybe you can help. I know residents are asking for this, so.
Well, our next step would be to redesign it all based on the PUE access. It'll certainly improve our cost structure to move forward with that. I do have the northeast section of the city ready to go to submit permits. So once we get this agreement executed, that's going to be the first area we're going to target, like within days. So permitting, expect to see that coming through. So yeah, I mean, our commitment, of course, is to always make sure it meets our financial thresholds, but with the density in Herriman, we shouldn't have issues with that. So we, not a commitment that we're going to build to every house, but we are certainly going to explore that opportunity.
Absolutely. Okay. I love it.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Teddy.
I just want to say thanks for having a willing partner coming in to help us facilitate this need for our citizens. It's been one of the things we've actively been stressing and trying to get done for several years now. So it's going to benefit many, many citizens.
Absolutely. I love it. Okay. Let's get this going. I love it.
A motion?
Okay, I'm going to do it. Let's look for a motion.
Motion to approve the public utility easement access and infrastructure agreement with All West Communications.
Motion by Sherry.
Second.
Second by Teddy. We'll go Teddy.
Yes.
Tara.
Yes.
Sherry.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That motion carries.
I would just make one more comment and just kudos to Steve Shields, who really was a driver behind all of this too. He put a lot of time and effort into this. So thanks, Steve, wherever you are, for helping move this along.
He's not here. Steve. He's still here. He's still here with us, just not here. He's not up there.
That's just Tara and Teddy up there.
Yeah, I'm actually probably closer to him in proximity than you guys tonight. So.
Right?
Maybe,
Texas.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you guys, as it's been mentioned. Thank you for being willing to work with us on this. Okay, we'll go to 11.3, discussion and consideration of a resolution amending the fiscal year 2026 job classification plan and salary schedule. Bring back up Kyle.
Thank you, Mayor. I did come up with an idea. Next year, I'll actually wrap this into the budget, so it'll be one less next year. But anyway, I did, especially for public consumption, I know we do have a newer council member, just what exactly is this? So last budget cycle, we wanted a way to have the council formally authorize positions that are authorized for staff to fill, pay grades and pay ranges. That way there's no confusion about if this position was actually authorized or what the pay grade should be on it. So it makes things very clear and very transparent, not just to our residents, but also to internal staff. So that was the main reason behind that. So the main changes are, first bullet point actually is not correct. So it's two parts. One is moving the position from a management analyst to assistant to the city manager, and then changing the pay grade from an L15 to an L16. This also creates an assistant director of finance position. It unfreezes the record specialist position and then reclassifies it as a deputy city recorder position. Removes the court services officer position, and that was outsourced to a private company. And next one is reverse the temporary part seasonal and tech allocations that you had authorized a few months ago. And then this is just a reclassification of 0.7 FTE to events and recreation support lead instead of a events assistant. And then on the pay ranges and steps, all of those will increase 2.9% due to the cost of living adjustment that's being proposed.
I probably should have asked this question previous, but keeping things in market and keeping them and deciding the paying ranges and things like that, what are we using to determine that?
So HR will go out, when we're looking at ranges and market, they're looking at surrounding cities. We don't look at every position every year. A lot of the times we're looking at positions where we see either we're having a hard time retaining, and when we go to hire, we're not seeing the types of candidates, or we're losing people to other cities. And so there's something called TechNet that the cities in Utah put their information into, and that allows us to see what ranges are, and then you can also just go and look at and talk to their HR department to see where they're at. For the COLA, we've been using the December to December CPI number because it's available to us when we're doing the budget. The annual one, for some reason, still takes like another 2 months after that one, so we've just picked that for consistency. So that's how we're doing that process.
TechNet is what you guys are using.
TechNet is what Travis uses for a lot of the data. Some of it is also just checking with other cities. There are surveys that go around between the different professional organizations about, hey, what's going on? What are you seeing in this position? So I know the city managers group will be active during budget season with a lot of it lately has, well, the last several years has been those labor jobs outside. What are you seeing? What's happening? Who are you losing people to? We lose more people to the private sector than to other cities. So sometimes TechNet won't help us with that. We just have to see, well, where are they going?
He does also use a national database, so he does look at those values also of the private sector, especially in public works jobs or other jobs where they might get pulled in other directions other than just another government agency.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number R37-2025, approving an amendment to the fiscal year 2025-2026 job classification plan and salary schedule.
Motion by Sherry,
I'll second.
second by Tara. We'll go Tara,
Yes.
Teddy,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. That motion carries. 11.4, discussion and consideration of a resolution to withdraw from Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District. Trevor was going to be here. Before I forget, congratulations, Trevor, on your twins. Nathan will try to step in. Probably will not.
So the item in front of you, so several months ago, we issued an RFP to see if the private sector would be able to provide solid waste services to us and what that would look like. We received 2 responses, both of those very competitive, showing significant savings over our current relationship with the special district. So as we went through that, there are a lot of moving pieces to this, but the resolution tonight is just to formalize that it's council's intent to withdraw from that district. There are some legal steps we may have to take, maybe even some legislative steps, but this would just be that first piece to say that is truly the intent of this council to look at doing something different. And the savings we're talking about are 20 to 30% a month, depending on what services they selected.
For the residents.
For the residents, yes.
Thanks. So obviously, we've been talking about this for a while. It was really prompted, I think, by a pretty significant rate increase at Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District, and it just felt like it's incumbent upon us to make sure that even if we're part of different districts, we're making sure that's in the best interest of our city. And I believe as cities change and evolve and grow, just like we've seen with our police force or with our fire, and things like that, or even our animal control, quite frankly, there's different things that we outgrow certain services, and perhaps it was time to really look at taking this, having more control as a city on this. And so then I spoke with the rest of the council, and we decided that it's probably time to do an RFP. Now we are involved in a special service district, and so there's certain rules and regulations as far as withdrawal from that. There's laws that govern certain things. It's a little unclear. I can be quite frank to you. At our board meeting, it was pretty unclear even what the pathway forward could be on Monday. Could we use a certain legislation or could we not? There's a little confusion like there is in some laws that kind of have some unclear language in them. So we're working through that path, but we have discussed this in obviously public meetings about that it's our intent to move forward with this, but we've never formally adopted a resolution. And so I just felt like I believe it was important for us to adopt a formal resolution. It gives a little more formality to the process rather than just giving head nods. So that's the step that we're doing tonight. I don't know. We're going to, like Nathan said, explore all the options. Hopefully what we want to do is move forward in the best, the legal direction, but we just want to have the least impact to our residents and just move forward and help, derive some cost savings for them instead of every time I'm up here, it's usually talking about cost increases instead of cost savings. So I think that's a positive direction for them. And it sounds like we're going to have to go through some hoops, but we'll jump through the hoops and figure out how to make it happen.
Sherry, kudos to you for driving this bus. This is, again, watching out for our residents and recognizing the need to probably take this step at this time. So
yeah, and I probably just would also publicly acknowledge this has nothing to do with feeling like there was a lack of service provided or anything like that from Wasatch Front. They've been a good partner, and we've participated well with them, and they have great people that work there and things like that. It's nothing reflective of anything like that. It's just simply that I think that we've outgrown this service, and it's time to move forward and give some savings to our residents. So, on a motion?
Yep, go ahead.
Unless somebody else has any in the sky.
No, I just want to say thank you for looking into it and all you've done to gather the information.
Thanks.
Do it. You make the motion. This is your
Okay.
thing. I love it.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R38-2025 to withdraw from Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District.
Motion by Sherry.
A second?
Second by Tara. Tara?
Yes.
Eddie?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That motion carries. Okay, 11.5, discussion and consideration of a resolution to approve an amendment to the second amended and restated interlocal agreement creating Transjordan cities. Nathan.
All right, so Trevor would have a really cool graph or something to show you. I do not, mostly because he's not here to create it for me. So the next two, 11.5 and 11.6, are closely related. They're two separate actions, but both getting to the same piece. So I'll talk about 11.5 first. So the Transjordan cities, which is made up of 7 other cities, and I should say Jaron Scott, who's the executive director of that organization, is in attendance. Formed, I don't know how long ago. 1958. cities began coming together to address landfill needs and access. And so throughout the years, they've added, as Herriman has grown, we've been on the outside looking in. And as we went through this process, we met with Transjordan, the Transjordan cities, and they proposed, they were open to us joining. So what that would bring to the city, the thing that I think is most important to the city is some surety on where we would have landfill access for 80 to 100 years, right? It's multi-generational. If we take this action, we can establish that Herriman residents will have a place for their waste to go without having to scramble. Having been involved in other landfills when we were trying to permit them through the EPA, you might need 80 years actually to permit a new one. That might be appropriate. It was an onerous process even to expand. And so as we looked at that, our proposal, we met with them, they sent to us a proposal to join. And that's actually in 11.6. I'll give you the details there. 11.5 is, this is an interlocal, so this would be an action to adopt the second amended and restated interlocal agreement. This would be us formally, we have to adopt this to join. All the other cities also have to adopt it, naming us as a member. So one of the key things is as we start from day one, we get to be a full member and be part of that board with voting rights. So the council have to talk how they want to represent on there. There is a buy-in provision I'll talk about. It's in, if you read the staff reports, they're very similar because we tried to give details in both. Assuming someday in the future, if somebody's trying to figure out why we did it, they could find it in either staff report or in both. So this action, you join. The next action is actually all the deal points. And maybe for council, I'll just talk about those now, and then it won't be weird.
Yep.
So this is the same offer that was used the last time the new cities joined Transjordan, which I believe were Draper and Riverton. So we will make 4 payments of $100,000 starting in year 2, 3, and 4 of the agreement. So that would actually be July 1 of 2026, which is our 2027 fiscal year ending budget. So we'll need to account for that in our next budget, not the one you just amended. This is where we get confusing. We have fiscal years, so it would be the next one. The one we'll start working on in December or November, but sooner than we'd like to think about. We will include that $100,000. So you have 4 of those payments, and then the Transjordan cities pay significantly. They have a discounted tipping fee at the landfill. This agreement is that we would continue to pay that higher rate, and the difference between the member amount and the non-member amount goes to pay off the value. So what Transjordan did is they looked at the entire value of the system, divided it, and said this would be your share. It's the same approach, as I said, they used with Draper and Riverton. So that's $5,520,000. So within 15 years, so for the next 15 years, we would continue to pay like we are today, but it would go towards that full membership. Looking at if at the end of the 15 years we have not finished paying that off, they would just forgive whatever the balance is. The likelihood, again, with the growth we're seeing, is that we'll pay it off before the 15 years. And then we would see the member rate, which would be a discount to our residents at that point. So again, the key thing I think from a city manager, when I look at it, is we can do something that will ensure we have a landfill option for our residents for the next 80 years at a minimum. And I think that is there's some value to the city to do that. And some certainty, something we don't have to be worried about. So I will be happy to answer any questions on either item, but the first one you would enact is the amended restated. The second one is at the actual agreement, that I guess you call it a participation in the development and operation is how this titled, but a kind of a buy-in agreement.
Nathan, help me understand our previous discussion with Wasatch Front leaving any tie. I mean, how does that, is it related at all? I mean, because this, I've never been on this board, so I don't know how that necessarily works. So if we stay with them, because we're going to be with them for a while, right? We're going to still be with Wasatch for a while. How does that affect this relationship?
It wouldn't, because currently we're paying non-member rates. And whether it's Wasatch Front or we go with a private sector, they are required to track our tonnages for us, because we have reporting requirements we have to do to the state by city. And so, and a lot of it, there's some new ones on recycling even that when we did interviews with the private, they all said we have to keep everything separate. And Wasatch Front reports to us separately what we have. So even in the future, if we stayed with Wasatch Front, there would be a moment where they would need to give us a discount versus, say, other members of Wasatch Front who are not members of Transjordan, but at least for the near term, it would not be an issue.
So as soon as we join, all the tipping fees now that Wasatch Front even is paying, already starts paying towards our membership.
Correct. The tipping fees from Herriman Trash.
Okay,
Yes.
so we don't have, so that's not waiting, that's not in, we don't have to wait for the new agreements with one of these others. Okay, that's.
Yeah, because it's separate. This is like tipping fees versus a hauler, basically, and whoever our hauler is our hauler, but either way, we have, if our trash goes there, we're paying non-member tipping fees right now, and we would continue to pay that. But this gives us a buy-in.
Now we're starting to buy in, so the fees aren't going to change necessarily, we're just now it's paying towards the membership.
Reduced fees in a maximum of 15 years.
So really, the only thing really, if we want to look to the city right now, is those 3 payments, right? Because everything else.
There'll be 4 payments of 100,000.
The 4 payments of 100,000. But everything else, the tipping fees are still what we've been paying. Now we're just buying down a membership long-term. Okay,
Yep.
I like it, love it.
No, so I do have a question, because when we were in some meetings with other haulers, there was some concern about locking ourselves into this particular landfill versus any other landfills, and that the reason that these guys would want us to come now is because obviously you guys are structuring to close the landfill here, and you're going to be hauling down to the south end of the lake. And the concern was then, if we get in and then all of a sudden now our fees are going to go way high, and then Herriman's going to just be joined in so that we can be on the hook to help pay for all that. So I don't know who would ask that question to.
I think Mr. Scott would be better in answering their long-term plans and what they're looking at.
Can you, because I kind of, I'm suspicious I know the answer, but I would like to have it a little more clear here.
Absolutely. Jaron Scott, Executive Director, Transjordan Cities. Thanks for having me here. I think this is a big day for both Transjordan and Herriman, and as Nathan has said, this is going to pave the way for the next 100+ years. So you're buying into an entity that owns the Bayview landfill, which has got over $1 billion in airspace. It'll be the largest landfill the state has ever seen. Everything from Morgan, Davis, Salt Lake, and all of Utah County will be participating in it. So in the waste business, it is economies of scale. And so we keep everybody's costs down. That landfill currently is $10.50 a ton. It is the cheapest Subtitle D environmentally sound landfill in the entire United States. And it's because it's a regional landfill, meaning only trucks that come through a transfer station, so heavy haul trucks are allowed at that landfill. There's no public access. All the public will use the transfer stations. For example, in Utah County, there's 2 large transfer stations, one in Spanish Fork, one in Linden. All that waste is put through those transfer stations and hauled. We are building, and we'll have finished, a Sandy transfer station next month, which will be open for your residents could use that facility, for example, from Herriman. And the other one will be built here in South Jordan. We have 7 years of life left at the South Jordan site. And we have committed with South Jordan to fill that site as fast as possible. So the waste from the transfer station is going to go to the landfill here and fill it as quickly as possible. After that, we'll probably go to a solar farm and so forth. We are making 5 megawatts of power there currently, and that will probably amp up based on what we do with closure and post-closure. There's some talks of like mountain bike parks and things like that there as well. So we'll put it to beneficial use. Anyway, so to answer your question, we run the cheapest and the most cost-effective landfill in the entire United States. It also has a gas collection system which is being sold to Kern River, and it's put into the pipeline there, so all the gas that is produced is RNG, which is a natural green gas that they're able to market and sell, and that creates a value which also brings the tipping fee down. So in answer to your questions, we are not looking to Herriman to pay the brunt of the bill or anything. What we're giving is hopefully Herriman a chance to have the residents know where their trash is going, participate and have a vote at the table, and then also to be able to have a space that is literally right next to your city that they will forever be able to use to get rid of their waste. We get about between 15 and 17,000 visits from your city residents a year. That's what they declare. We're very under-declared because people think they're going to be charged more if they don't say West Jordan or South Jordan because where we're located. But I do get about 17,000 residents admitting to their visit at Transjordan. And that's the big thing. The haulers don't deal with the residents at all. Like, they collect their waste, but they don't allow them into their transfer stations. They don't have landfills that allow the residents and so forth. So the big thing for me is to be able to have a place where somebody has a couch they need to drop off, they've got a place they can go. Somebody has a bag of grass or whatever else they've got, they have a place to go. Knowing it's environmentally sound, we're very proud of our facility. We'd love to have you out and have a work session there and get a tour. Also the Bayview landfill, I can talk about what the plans are there. I sit on the board that runs that. The 4 entities that own that facility, I am one of the 4, and run very well and very effective and very proud of it.
So when you close this facility, which is a hop, skip, and a jump on Bacchus right here, right? Super nice and convenient for our residents.
Yep.
The transfer station is where in Sandy?
So there's going to be 2. Okay. The one in Sandy will mostly serve our east side, which is Sandy, Draper, Midvale, Murray. A little bit of South Jordan, West Jordan residents will go there because they're close from Redwood Road over. This facility will be twice as large as that facility. It's going to be built right next to my offices. So it's going to be in the exact same space, just right up against Highway 111. Nice. So we've already started all the planning process with South Jordan City. They want us to kind of concentrate our operations right up against Highway 111. We'll mothball the landfill, environmentally protect it, and do all the things we need to, but all of our operations will be right there where if you've been there before, the scale house, the administration building, though it'll be just to the south of all of that complex. We've already excavated. If you drive on the road and you see where Daybreak Parkway is daylighting into Highway 111, it'll be just right there off of that corner. Love it. So it's going to be, if you come to the Sandy facility, beautiful facility, super happy. We were just limited in size. This one's going to be twice as large, so about 90,000 to 100,000 square feet under roof. So the residents will be able to use indoors on concrete, no more mud, no more things like that.
Nice, that's the worst. Yes. Drive out there. How many flat tires am I going to get? Yes. Yeah. Awesome. So we have the PCC, which is the Public Convenience Center. If you've been out there and been on the concrete pad that we have, that'll remain open. We still have the chemical collection, all the recycling, all the tires and cardboard and everything else that needs to get separated. That will remain, but we'll also have the facility inside for commercial and as well as residents in the dump bed trailers and things like that to get rid of their waste. So just more opportunity for residents here. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for working with us, and look forward to this.
Well, and just let me say, the board was unanimous. They're very excited about it. I have 4 of my cities have already passed this resolutions before. You'll be the 5th. I'm going to go to Murray and South Jordan and Riverton next week, and then it'll be the last. Actually, South Jordan is not until the first week of July, but that'll be the last city to approve this very amendment. If you approve it, all 8 cities will then have approved it.
Well, it just makes sense. It's always baffled me a little bit why we weren't part of it.
Yeah, I wish this would have happened earlier. I think everybody does, but I think we were already getting your waste, and everybody's like, hey, it's okay, it's not broken, but we could have bought in essentially doing the same thing years ago. The last city to join was 1997, so it's been 28 years since we had a member join. Yeah. So the 7 cities are very proud of what they've accomplished, and financially we're very stable and feasible, viable and doing very well. So,
awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's make some motions.
Okay, motion to approve resolution number R39-2025, approving an amendment to the second amended and restated interlocal agreement creating Trans-Jordan Cities dated December 1st, 1995.
Okay, motion by Sherry,
I'll second.
second by Tara. We'll go Tara,
Yes.
Teddy,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. That one carries. Let's do a motion on 11-6.
Motion to approve resolution number R40-2025, authorizing the approval of an agreement with Herriman City pertaining to becoming a member of Trans-Jordan Cities, an interlocal agency.
Okay, motion by Sherry,
I'll second.
second to Tara. Tara,
Yes.
Teddy,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes on that. So thank you, Brad. Look, it's fantastic. Okay, that brings us to the close of our meetings tonight.
Just keep it rolling next week with those other cities.
Yes, yes. Okay, future meetings, Planning Commission meeting on July 2nd, 7 o'clock. Our next council meeting is the 9th at 7 o'clock. Events coming up, the food truck every Monday night from 5 to 8 out front here at Crane Park. City offices will be closed on the 4th of July, for Independence Day. I think that's everything. We're past, we're all breathing. We're all breathing from all the events of June, so.
Be the howl.
The Howl is the next city event.
No, we had the foam party
Oh.
in July.
It's all good. We love it. Okay, we do have a closed session, quick closed sessions for those online. If you've got a minute to join us over there, I think we'll be quick. So I'll look for, Sherry, do you want to make this motion?
And make a motion to temporarily recess the city council meeting to go into closed meeting for the following purposes as provided in Utah State Code annotated 52-4-205, strategy sessions to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, or to discuss a proposed development agreement, project proposal, or financing proposal related to the development of land owned by the city.
Okay, motion by Sherry,
Second.
I'll second.
second by, we'll give it to Teddy. Teddy,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. So we will go into close. We'll move over back into Fort Herriman. Who do we need? Blake, Nathan, Wendy, Council, Todd, Kyle. And Chief. We need you, Chief. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.